take at this point in time. Well, we did one on something called Cardio Smile, a natural product that lowers cholesterol. Creatine has been around for a while, and there's basically an emerging science that it may help build some muscle. Um, and 90% of building muscle is by doing resistance training. There's some potential advantage. We'll look at that. Whether or not it improves my brain function is another story. We'll talk about this right now. So, Ethan, who has run some triathlons or is going to run a full one this year, I think it's in August this year, you're going to do your full one?
Yes, in August.
All right. And he's taking the stuff and he's going to tell us why you think we should be considering that option. Take it away.
Yeah, so today I'll be giving a presentation about creatine and its potential benefits for muscular strength and hypertrophy. Creatine is arguably the most studied and popular supplement available currently in the market. In 2022, Americans consumed approximately 4 million kilograms of creatine per year, and as a result, the industry is worth billions of dollars. The type of creatine most examined for its safety and efficacy is creatine monohydrate, and specifically the micronized creatine monohydrate made by Alzchem in Germany under the brand name CreaPure. So, Rad, if you could just go to the previous slide. And a picture of one of CreaPure's creatine monohydrate products is like the title slide is shown in the image. Um, the first slide has a picture of CreaPure. Yeah, that's it right there. And this brand has been reported to produce creatine monohydrate that's 99.99% pure, and so typically it's considered the gold standard and a product that I would highly recommend. So for the sake of time, I'll just refer to creatine monohydrate as just simply creatine.
How much does it
Now we can
cost,
go
by
to
the
the next.
way? Does it break the bank or not very much so?
It's like, yeah, it is a little bit expensive. It's not absurd, but it is more expensive than other brands. But it's 99.99% creatine monohydrate.
All right.
Um,
Before we move on, should we introduce this right now, Dr. Curnew? Would you like to talk about it? I can
Well,
talk about it.
is that
Go ahead. You're
we
going to
can
do the
talk.
push-ups. Go ahead.
Well, before we do the push-ups here, is that 90% of building muscle is basically building muscle by lifting heavy weights or moving your body. So I'm going to move my body against resistance, some push-ups here. Getting proper proteins important. The supplements may add a little bit, but this is the best way to do things. So as you know, we're doing the push-up challenge, and I hope you'll join Curnew's athletes every February. We've done this right now. And I'm going to see how many push-ups I can do right now. And my arms are sore. I did about 200 yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
I bet on
12,
26.
14, 15, 16, 17,
Keep going.
18, 19, 20, 1,
he's getting
You
faster.
got 4
2,
more in you. Come on.
3, 4, 5,
One more and 26.
6, 12.
Fantastic.
Okay.
If I had
Wow.
set 30, would have gone to 30.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, now I got to explain a
work.
couple things right now. So
For sure.
today is Olympics, and you see these young superstars competing, doing well. Canada has about 7 medals so far, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the Olympics right now. I think Canada won today in hockey. Women's hockey is going well as well. I got my Olympic sweater and my Canada hat. This is actually autographed by Paul Henderson. Now, for the old farts, is that Paul Henderson scored the winning goals against Russia in the Russian-Canada summit. All right, I'm going to take my breaths over here and tell us more. And just sum up a little
Yeah.
about this challenge here, Rad. How do we enroll? How do we do these sorts of things? Go back a little bit
Yeah,
there.
so there's an app called the Push for Better app. It's made by the Canadian Mental Health Association. You can actually, if you look at the top right here, you can log your push-ups, your lunges, your squats. You can document it. We have a leaderboard, and you can compete. That's how it's fun. I wish they could have allowed us to use it for other months of the year, but unfortunately, it's not the case. Um, Easy to use. So the app's called Push for Better, and sign up and join the Team Curnew athletes. You have until February 27th to catch up.
So right now, I got yesterday was the day of 140. I
Yes.
lost, did about 200 yesterday. Today we have to do 89, and I'm 65, so I'm getting close. And
So as
so
a
just
team, we have done 4,500 push-ups.
nice, nice. And you can do sit-ups. Well, you can do some modified versions. Do what you can, but just do something. Building muscle. Tell us more how we build muscle.
Yeah. So before we speak about creatine, I want to touch on the shift in body composition that has occurred in the general population over the course of modern times. Um, in the illustration on the left, it's a painting by the late artist and scientist Leonardo da Vinci and dated in 1490. And this drawing illustrates Leonardo's study of the ideal human proportions. And here I was just showing it to draw a contrast to the image on the right, which is an illustration showing the average body composition of an adult American male. And this 3D model was created by Pittsburgh artist Nicole Lamb based on the average height and waist circumference of men aged 30 to 39. And according to the CDC, the typical adult American male has a BMI of 28.6. In other countries, for example, Japanese males have a BMI of 23.7, Netherlands is 25.2, and France is 25.5. So we're about 3.6 points above the average healthy range of 20 to 25. And so you can go next slide. Contemporary problems surrounding BMI spark a question. How can we decrease BMI and increase skeletal muscle mass? Go next slide. So the American Heart Association's Life's Essential 8 reminds us of the importance of the basics. These 8 key measures are essential for improving and maintaining cardiovascular health. Namely, they consist of a healthy dietary pattern, no smoking, healthy sleep, controlling cholesterol, blood sugar, and blood pressure. And last but certainly not least, implementing physical activity and achieving a healthy weight. With these essentials in mind, I will be focusing on fat loss and building muscle. So, when we consider methods of achieving fat loss, the most effective intervention is a dietary one. A common misconception that I'm sure Dr. Curnew has heard from patients, or I have heard from patients, is that fat loss is primarily driven by physical activity or even strength training. But this is largely untrue. Physical activity should be considered extremely important for its effects on cardiovascular health, bone density, and strength, rather than fat loss. A joint position statement made by the American College of Sports Medicine support diet and exercise as primary intervention for patients with obesity rather than exercise alone. A quote there just reminding us that a lot of exercise is needed if you want to rely on it alone for weight loss, up to 60 minutes per day. So we can go next slide.
Yeah, and just before we move on, just wanted to add a quick point. You're right. If you want to lose a lot of weight, exercise is probably not going to be your biggest lever. But if you're not doing a lot already, you're sedentary. Going from nothing to something, even for weight loss, has a little bit of an effect. But when you're already active most days of the week and you double that or triple that, then you're getting marginal returns. But so we don't want to dissuade people from not doing it, right? Most of us are not doing anything or not enough. But it's important to put the expectations correctly. I think you did that well. Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah. So my next slide here is going to kind of reiterate what Rad said. Physical activity is extremely important. Um, The most effective intervention for building muscle is implementing a strength training program. So across aging cohorts, declines in muscle mass correlate with declines in strength, though strength typically falls faster than mass. Additionally, strength training improves strength and power through several mechanisms, one of them being neural adaptations, muscle hypertrophy, which is just muscle growth, and also connective tissue and tendon adaptations. And finally, the most important point is that strength training can be used to prevent or delay age-related related loss of skeletal muscle. And a systematic review conducted by Liu CJ concluded that progressive resistance training is an effective intervention for improving physical functioning in older people. We can go next slide. So finally, on to creatine. Creatine is a non-proteinogenic amino acid, which just means it can't make proteins, that plays a crucial role in cellular bioenergetics. This compound is largely found in vertebrates, where it facilitates the recycling of high-energy phosphates that provide energy to cellular processes. Creatine is abundant in tissues with high-level energy demand. So consequently, 95% of the human body's creatine is stored in skeletal muscle, with the remaining 5% being distributed to the brain, liver, kidneys, and testes. Creatine is available from a variety of animal-based foods, from human breast milk to meat, poultry, and fish. So we can go next slide. Just
Bit of an
having some,
internet delay. Yeah, I just fixed it. Go ahead. Keep
yeah,
going. Thank you.
perfect. So what specific foods are rich in creatine and what foods have trace amounts? Well, in this table, we can see that fatty fishes are an excellent source of dietary creatine. Things such as cod, salmon, tuna, herring. We can also see that beef is an excellent source of creatine. Fruits and vegetables, on the other hand, have trace amounts of creatine. So you won't get much creatine from fruits and vegetables. In fact, although a vegetarian diet is an extremely healthy dietary pattern, vegetarians should be aware that they are reported to have lower intramuscular creatine stores, and therefore they could observe greater gains in muscle creatine content from creatine supplementation. So that's something to keep in
Go
mind.
back one slide again, the one that we had a little trouble. I want to just go. I want you to define creatine again there because we had a little bit of technical issues. So tell us what creatine is one more time.
Yeah, so it's an amino acid that can't create protein, so it's non-proteinogenic, and it plays a crucial role in cellular bioenergetics. So it's mainly found in vertebrates, and it facilitates the recycling of high-energy phosphates that provide energy to cellular systems. Creatine is abundant in tissues with high energy levels or energy demands. So approximately 95% of the human body's creatine stores are found in skeletal muscle, with the remaining 5% being found in the brain, kidney, and testes. And creatine is available from a variety of animal-based foods. And it's also synthesized in the human body as well. So you can get it from your diet, but also it's synthesized within the body itself.
So this is
Anything?
important
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Curnew. Go ahead.
for energy production. So it's part of that magic of how we move and how we generate energy. So that's why it's important.
Yes, that's the most simplified version. Yes.
And I was going to add that you said there are different types, right? There's monohydrate, creatine HCl, and some others, but the monohydrate is the most common and studied one, right?
Yes, most studied for its safety and efficacy, and none of the other types of creatine have shown any superiority to creatine monohydrate.
What does monohydrate actually mean?
So I think monohydrate is talking about its chemical formula. So I honestly didn't research too much into the name, but different creatines have different they have different structural properties, and these have some like mechanistic theories into which ones could be better for another, but in terms of the totality of evidence, it shows that they're all kind of work the same in the same way.
Thank you.
No problem. We can go then. Yeah. So in terms of creatine synthesis, I'll just go over this quickly. There's the pathway for synthesis is shown in the image, and an important precursor named guanidino acetate, or GAA, is formed by glycine and arginine in the kidneys. And GAA is then going to travel to the liver, where it's methylated in order to form creatine. So creatine is synthesized in the liver. What I found interesting is that some individuals have creatine synthesis deficiencies due to inborn errors in enzymes. So as you can see, the first reaction and the second reaction is catalyzed by certain enzymes, and deficiencies in these enzymes can cause patients to be dependent on dietary creatine intake in order to maintain normal muscle and brain concentrations. It's important to note that both creatine and PCR, which is something I'll get into later, it's a different form of creatine. They're both lost naturally throughout the day. This is just a spontaneous reaction that occurs, and it's going to form creatinine, which is something some of the patients might be familiar with in their blood panel. And this is going to be excreted at a rate of about 2 grams per day. So an average person requires approximately 2 grams of creatine per day, with about half of that getting synthesized in the liver, and then half of that is going to be obtained from their diet. And similar numbers are found in the image. Okay, we can go next slide. So I'll just quickly go over the mechanism of action in the muscle. So once creatine is synthesized in the liver, it's going to make its way to blood circulation, and the molecule is going to enter the cell cytosol via CRT receptor. And once creatine enters the cytosol, it can take a number of different approaches. In short, the way creatine works is that it drives muscular power by transporting and utilizing ATP more effectively. So essentially, the way it works is that creatine can be transformed into phosphocreatine, and this phosphocreatine just takes ATP from the mitochondria and basically transports it more quickly into the cytosol, and then it can be used at certain sites of high ATP demand. So I won't get too far into the mechanism behind it, but creatine isn't just this energy source that we consume. It's a molecule that helps us use energy more effectively. So we can go next slide. So we talked about how our body synthesizes creatine and how we consume creatine. So why supplement it at all? Well, the total creatine pool of a 70 kilogram individual is approximately 60 to 80% saturated. A pivotal research study conducted by Dr. Roger Harris demonstrated that oral creatine supplementation is capable of increasing muscle creatine by about 20%. So although consumed naturally in the diet and synthesized daily, with natural creatine excretion of about 2 grams per day, additional dietary supplementation remains the most effective way of increasing creatine stores. And naturally, it's a non-steroidal compound, so it's used by many athletes as an ergogenic aid to improve intermittent high-intensity exercise capacity.
Now, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, what does ergogenic mean? Do you know what that means at all?
Yeah, so ergogenic, from my understanding, just means it's basically a non-steroid. Like it's
Gotcha.
safe and allowed for athletes.
So it says Google said, Dr. Google, intended to enhance physical performance, stamina, or recovery. There we go. Fantastic.
Yeah. So one key question that I would like to focus on is, does the central point of this whole kind of presentation is, does supplementation of creatine alongside resistance training actually further increase strength and muscular hypertrophy? While we have a lot of very interesting mechanistic theories, to form an evidence-based recommendation, we need to evaluate the highest levels of evidence in human outcome data. So you can go next slide. So for time's sake, I decided to include the most promising systematic review and meta-analysis of creatine supplementation that I could find on hypertrophy and strength. It's a paper conducted by Dr. Philip Chilibek, and it's a systematic review of randomized controlled trials of creatine supplementation during resistance training in older adults. And the primary outcomes of the trial include lean tissue mass, chest press strength, and leg press strength. A total of 22 different studies were included, with 721 participants, both men and women, aged from about 57 to 70. And in terms of the methods, the participants were just randomized to creatine supplementation or placebo during resistance training for about 2 to 3 days a week. And it lasted about 7 to 52 weeks, the study, the range of studies. The next slide. So moving into the analysis of the randomized controlled trials, it was noted that 3 abstracts were excluded, and therefore 22 unique studies were included. Out of the 22 studies, 12 studies reported that creatine supplementation increased either lean tissue mass or muscle function, and 10 studies showed no effect from creatine. And most studies reported no adverse effects related to creatine, but 4 studies reported gastrointestinal adverse effects, and 2 studies reported muscle cramping. These adverse effects did not cause participants to withdraw from the trial. And importantly, 5 studies with durations ranging from 3 to 52 weeks were evaluated for kidney or liver function through blood or urine testing, and they found no adverse effects at all. You can go next slide. So now we've gone to the nugget of truth. So after synthesizing all 22 studies, the authors reported that creatine supplemented groups had significantly greater increases in lean tissue mass, chest press strength, and leg press strength compared with placebo. The most important outcome, according to the authors of the study, is that creatine supplementation during resistance training results in approximately 1.4 kilograms greater increase in lean tissue mass than when placebo is consumed. And this translated to significantly greater increases in upper body and lower body strength in older adults. The reason why I particularly chose this study was because the review included over 700 participants, which is approximately double the number of participants from previous meta-analysis. And even so, these previous meta-analysis found that creatine increased lean tissue mass and upper body strength. So very similar results across a variety of systematic reviews and meta-analyses. Although the meta-analysis did not report exact pound differences in the strengths of the lifts, based on the standardized mean difference given in the study, the 1 rep max of individuals on creatine was anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds greater than the placebo. So a lot of weight. It's a marginal gain not a marginal, it's a pretty significant gain in lifting strength and power output.
And 1 rep max is 1 maximum repetition, right?
Yes, yeah. 1 rep max is 1, basically the highest weight someone can lift for 1 rep.
So you said that you gain about 3 pounds of muscle, you said, is that right?
Yeah, so
for 3 pounds, 3 pounds, yeah. So part of that could be water as well, right? We're going to talk about that as well, or not?
So the thing about water is they measured lean tissue mass.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm almost certain that the method at which they measured it, it can't be water.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is a
So
good
the-
point, Dr. Curnew. Now, when you use it, people, if you want to measure your scale, weight's going to go up a few pounds, but it's mainly water weight. Yeah.
Yes.
But you're saying you actually gained about 1.4 kilos, you said, is that right?
Yeah. So the participants gained 1.4 kilos compared to placebo
So
in lean tissue mass.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
significant.
and so you gain 3 pounds and you gain 30 and you can lift 30 pounds higher, basically 20, 30 pounds. Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable. I wasn't lying.
And this is in seniors, right? This is in seniors. It's not just in
Yeah,
the
this
average
is
age
in
was 55 to 70. So that's
yeah,
important as well.
average age 55 to 70. So this is even in seniors. You
And
see a
this
significant.
is legal too.
Yeah, it's legal. Yeah, completely legal. I bought some yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, that is a good point. I'll just mention it quickly. Creatine causes a gain in weight, an initial gain in weight, when someone takes it, because creatine tends to pull water. It tends to retain water slightly. Although in long-term trials, water retention was found to be not significant. So you gain like a transient amount of water. So you might see the scale go up if you supplement with creatine, but this isn't just magically muscle coming onto your body. It's more just water retention, but this goes away over long term. So in terms of adverse events, I want to reassure that the long-standing belief that creatine monohydrate is extremely safe for a variety of individuals. So I turn to a position statement and guideline recommendation made by the International Society of Sports Nutrition, which stated that creatine monohydrate supplementation is not only safe, but has been reported to have a number of therapeutic benefits in healthy and diseased populations, ranging from infants to the elderly. And there's no compelling evidence that short-term or long-term use of creatine up to 30 grams a day for 5 years, which is an extremely high dose, has any detrimental effects on otherwise healthy individuals. So
the benefit is that you get stronger because you can exercise more. Is that the gist of it? Is that
Mainly yes. Yeah. Mainly yes.
yeah, it's more that your muscles are able to
There are
they're
some
able to
other
work.
mechanistic reasons too, but the main one is that it allows you to go to do more reps to get closer to failure.
So I think it's important to realize this. So if I'm
Yeah.
if I'm gonna eat my chocolate cheesecake and watch the Olympics instead of participating in the Olympics, take this stuff, I'll gain a little bit of water, but I'm not going to gain really any strength because it allows you, by charging your muscle cells with more energy, you can actually do more work. Is that's what I'm taking away from this? Is that a good assumption or a bad assumption, guys?
That's
That
correct.
is a very good assumption. It's not an assumption, it's a fact.
Deduction. It's
You
a
need
deduction.
to yeah, all of these studies and all of this muscle gain is with strength training. You only get benefits if you strength train. I haven't seen any studies that have done creatine alone. Maybe they're out there, but you have to strength train. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. It's the same with protein intake, right? Dr. Curnew mentioned this fad with protein intake. Now, there is some evidence for that where even people who are hospitalized, you increase their protein intake a little bit. I'm not too familiar with the outcomes for that, but even then, it's you have to stimulate muscle synthesis with some resistance, and then you add the fuel in the car, which is protein. And in this case, this is, and a nice analogy I heard, I was telling Ethan about where he started, is Dr. Stuart Phillips. He has this analogy, which is, imagine trying to dry a wet towel. That last squeeze is this top up with creatine or a little bit of extra protein, right? 95% of it is doing the work. 2 to 3 times a week, keeping it simple. That's all.
Yes, 100%.
I'm wearing my Paul Henderson hat. Growing up, I wanted to be a superstar hockey player. Never quite made it. I got the hat. And so I think dreaming about being an athlete is not going to work. But if I take the supplement, I can take off the hat and do the work. Dreaming about it won't work, and wishing doesn't work. But it gives you some of the tools to become stronger. And by what you just told me right now. I think this is something I need to consider. I know my wife and son take it. I took it once or twice, but I think I'm going to take your advice and start taking it. Keep telling us more
Yes.
water.
And
Thank
I
you.
have one question, Ethan, for you. So, does it also help with recovery and soreness to allow people to do more frequency, let's say an extra session a week, or not really,
So
from your
I
knowledge?
did see, yeah. So the paper that I would direct people to is there's the International Society of Sports Nutrition posted a position statement in 2017. It's an amazing paper and it goes through all of creatine's effects. What I will say is in that paper, I did see that creatine can help with recovery, muscle soreness, even sleep. So, yeah, creatine has other effects outside of muscle building, but it might also be that through enhanced recovery, people build more muscle. So these
Yeah.
things could work either way.
Yeah, true, true. And you mentioned sleep. I remember seeing some data for creatinine when for sleep deprivation and people with traumatic brain injury, but that's besides the point. Now,
Yes, cognition
more
is
points
for
about,
another day.
of course, yeah, more points about safety. One big question is people who have renal disease, chronic kidney disease, near dialysis, in dialysis. What's the question for them? And for a long time, because yeah, taking creatine supplementation increases your creatinine and artificially lowers your EGFR and your lab values, people for good reason have been hesitant. But there's more and more data that's coming through, nice randomized data, but also other data, old data from in the 2000 that shows that even people who have hemodialysis, supplementation with creatinine could be a useful approach for them because muscle wasting during dialysis is a huge concern. Uh, Losing independence, quality of life, muscle cramps associated with hemodialysis could be a problem. And people who with dialysis already are losing more creatine through the dialysis, so there's a greater need to put the fuel back in the car either through food or through supplementation. And we can look at this one randomized data in 2024. Only 39 people, but that's not too bad. They took 5 grams of creatine a day, and they had a 65% increase in muscle mass versus 16% the placebo group. But important part was there was no long-term evidence of renal harm at 1 year. So it wasn't longer than that. We don't know. But and all the other studies are pointing to the same direction that even for those people, um, it has a benefit, it has a role. Of course, I'm sure there are individuals that could be different. So talk to your nephrologist; they're the experts in this domain. Anything to add here, Ethan, at all from your reading? Did you see anything else about renal disease and creatine supplementation?
Yeah, so the kidneys is a big talking point in a lot of the studies because I mean it's a direct player with creatine, and there's also the mechanism of creatine decomposing into creatinine spontaneously. From everything that I've seen, creatine is safe for almost based for it's safe for all ages and a variety of healthy or diseased populations. I haven't seen any position statements or guidelines that say that creatine is unhealthy for X, Y, or Z. And all adverse events for the 99% of randomized controlled trials point towards it being safe.
All right, good. Tell us about the dose and how to take it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to supplement with creatine, what dosage is right for you? Unfortunately, there's no one size fits all for creatine, but approximately 0.08 grams per kilogram of body weight for the average person is sufficient to fully saturate muscle creatine stores. In terms of supplementation protocols, there is something called an optional loading phase. So some people they like to take a very high dose of let's say 20 grams per day for 5 to 7 days in order to saturate their muscles very quickly. And then they switch to a more lower dose of 3 to 5 grams per day indefinitely. And so creatine is relatively cheap. It's about 20 cents to 40 cents per day. for a maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams. And all you have to do is take it shortly before or after exercise, and on rest days you can take it with food. Additionally, I would like to add that creatine is not all or nothing. So it takes 4 to 6 weeks for creatine stores to return to baseline. This means if you miss a dose, it's done barely no harm. So just simply remember to take the next day. And yeah, I think that's all I kind of wanted to say for dosage.
So how much are you taking?
So I take 10 grams per day.
You want to improve your brain function, I guess.
Yeah, so we're not gonna. I didn't have the time to put cognition. That's a whole nother day. But
So actually, hold on. So what we can say, the brain function is we have a lot to learn about that one. So the brain function is not a done deal. I think what you're suggesting right now for muscle function, we're far ahead, and I think that's pretty sound. For brain function, we have a lot more to learn about that one. So I don't think we can say taking the supplement for brain function is right or wrong at this point in time. We need to learn more about that. So we'll just concentrate what we do know for sure right now.
I agree. Let's see. So consuming creatine is extremely simple. Usually it's sold in a solid kind of powder-like form, and all you have to do is consume it with any beverage. You can consume it with water, milk, or juice. I like to actually put it in my protein shake. It just tastes a little bit bitter. I like to throw some milk in there, some berries, and you barely even taste the creatine. But there is one thing that the addition of carbs or protein to a creatine supplement appears to increase muscular uptake of creatine, although the effects on performance aren't greater than just taking it with water. So you can take it with any modality. There's no real difference.
So
Now,
Rad,
Ethan,
maybe
one thing I saw, apologies, one thing I saw was that you shouldn't make it in advance and put it in the fridge. Apparently, it's not very stable. Is that right?
I haven't looked into that, but I've heard similar things. What I would do is I mean, I haven't looked at the data, but just from like a practicality standpoint, the easiest way to consume it is just put it with some type of juice and just drink it right away.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can make it with oats or something. I haven't looked at the data and what that does to its stability, but yeah, the easiest way is to just drink it in like one shot with
so
some
Right.
juice.
I'll remind people, if you're trying to lose weight, juice is a terrible food. So put it into
That's true.
to, to water because it's
Yes.
but also I'd be curious is that and maybe Brad, you can look this up as we go, is that can you
Yeah.
put in coffee, because
I was just thinking of that. Yeah.
coffee can can cause problems with absorbing micronutrients. So I'm not sure if there's an interaction here. I don't know if you know that or not, but Brad will look that up there while we're going over here.
Short answer says yes.
Good.
Yes
Yeah.
to
Good.
coffee.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, I haven't heard of any liquid that directly distorts its like contents at all in any of my research, but again, I could be wrong.
Yeah. The only thing I saw was that if you leave it and it's, uh, for hours in a liquid, it breaks down into creatinine. That's the only thing I saw. I just want to verify it, but let us know afterwards.
And that reminds me to tell people, if it makes your kidney function falsely worse because it gets converted to creatinine, which we measure in your
Yep.
kidney.
Yep.
So if you're taking a supplement and your renal function gets worse, it's more of a it's not a real effect on kidney function. It's just the supplementation causes a different reading variable. Tell us more.
Yes. So we can go
There you
next
go.
slide. So just some brand recommendations. There's
Whichever one's on
Thorn.
sale.
What Thorn's on
That-
sale?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's great. So there's Thorn and Clean. The reason why I recommended these brands is because they have a certified for sport certification, and basically certified for sport tests for drug-free substance. It's banned by major sporting organizations, so it's third-party tested, and it's the only independent third-party certification program recognized by the United States Anti-Doping Agency, and also the MLB and the NHL. So these two products is something I would recommend for anyone, but also competitive athletes that might be competing in divisions that do doping checks, for example.
All right. Now, on to protein. So there's creatinine and creatine, and then there's protein. As we said briefly, there's this fad about protein intake, and people are putting protein into ice creams. In fact, there's a special brand I heard a while back in the US that has become popular, protein bars. Best to take it from food. And there are all sorts of numbers that tell people here's how much protein you have to eat to lose weight, to build muscle, and there's some truth to that. You have to increase your muscle, your protein intake if you're trying to put on muscle, of course. And the older you are, a little bit more. And you can look at the numbers and look at your weight and do the math. But to keep it simple, having protein with every main meal and maybe topping it up with, as you said, Ethan, a little bit of a protein shake is probably the best simple thing to do. And instead of trying to measure every gram, use a food scale. Right, so we're just trying to simplify life. We have other priorities in life, weight, other health conditions. The simple way to go about it for satiation, but also for muscle building, is have it with every meal. If you can make the protein a main character, like beans or salmon or lean chicken, lean meats, do that instead of other carb. For example, carb is the bread being the main character. That's all. Anything to add here, anyone at all?
One thing I will say is that the more I research about fatty fish, the more I discover good things about it, like salmon and tuna.
Yeah.
I mean, those are very high in creatine. They're also very high in essential omega fatty acids and things like that. So yeah, I just want to say that eat your salmon, eat your fatty fish. Very good.
And one thing you said, you just mentioned something very important, is you said vegetarians might need a supplement, or if an older person who is a vegetarian might benefit. How about someone who is getting a lot of protein from, let's say, animal sources? Would they benefit from additional creatine supplementation?
So you would have to eat yes, they would benefit, because even in people that eat salmon or eat beef, their muscular stores are only 80%. So in order to get to that extra 20% or 100%, you need some type of higher dose external supplementation.
And you mentioned that the common dose is 3 to 5 grams a day for the average
Yeah,
person.
that's the general average. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, again, reiterate, the most important thing is to actually do something. Where is it? Pushing, pulling, squats. That's the most important thing.
Just back when let's put a summary on protein right now. So the RDA is 0.8 grams. We think as you get older, you have some resistance to training, and you need a higher dose if you're sick, you have kidney failure, you're fighting cancer, you're fighting illness, you're in the hospital, pneumonia. Higher protein may be a good thing. Some people, and I think somewhere between 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per day is enough. The average Canadian is around 1.2 a day without even trying to supplement in any way. So most of us are not protein deficient in North America. I agree with you that salmon, the cold water fishes seem to have the omega-3s. They have nature's variety. The downside, people worry about contamination, lead and mercury and other processes. That hasn't been a problem yet at this point in time, but we'll have to roll that way. So I think first of all, there's associations with meat consumption, and bad things happen to you right now. So the more processed the meat, bacon is cancer on a stick. And basically, red meat once a week or so would be ideal if you want to eat red meat. It has a good form of iron absorption, but it's not good for the planet. It's not good for the animals. We make an exception to fish. I'm not sure why. I agree with you. I eat a lot of salmon, and I'm a hypocrite when it comes to fish and their or whatever. But still, one of the best sources of protein is beans. You can grow muscle and get complete proteins by eating bean-based bases, but you don't need, in theory, omega-3s to survive. Vegetarians don't really have much in the way of omega-3s in their system, but they live a long time. And there's a weak conversion, something called alpha-linoleic acid, and so only about maybe 2 to 5%, if you're lucky, of the vegetable form omega-3s gets converted to the active form DHA and EPA, which is found in fish. So I think we've gone crazy about protein, and one of the things that we forgot is that micronutrients are important, and having 30 grams of fiber and having 50 different vegetables a month makes a lot of sense to me. In fermented food, from kombucha to sauerkraut, are things to be thinking about as well. So this craze about protein. Protein is hard on the kidneys, and so I think somewhere between 1.2 to 1.4 grams of protein, if you're really training hard, is reasonable. But going up to above that is probably not going to, you're squeezing that toothpaste too much. There's not much more in there. And so that's our take on protein. Next slide.
Well put. Well put. So, going back to the important thing is to lift something, and there's this notion, and I understand it, I empathize with it, is that the older you are, the more difficult it is. But there was this nice trial that we always come back to, is that even 1 year of heavy resistance training has impact for 4 or 5 years, even after you've stopped, right? So, unlike walking and aerobic activities where you gain fitness quickly and you lose fitness quickly, muscle tends to be more difficult to put on, but then it sticks around longer. And strength is still maintained to a higher degree than aerobic fitness, right? You get a lot in, you get a lot out from putting a little bit in. So just once a week, twice a week, something very small, 15, 20 minutes, push-ups, body squats. And if you're very proficient at it, then you add a little bit of weights and go from there. But if you're serious, then you have to actually go to the gym or have bands at home and really push yourself to that heavy zone when you want to stop. That's the most important thing. And these are some examples you can do at home, right? And you can make them difficult. You can make them difficult by holding some weight in front of you and do the body squats. Grab 2 dumbbells, 1 in each arm. Do lunges if you're able to. Planks, I would probably exclude that one. That's, it's not a functional exercise. Better to do balance training, or step on a box, step off a box, pull-ups, push-ups, modified push-ups, wall push-ups, step-ups, all of this. And all of this you can do at home. It doesn't take a master's degree. It doesn't take thousands of dollars a year to do. And there are nice resources online. There's this one I really, really like, probably best for seniors. There are 3 of them. There's the mom, there's the lady that teaches, and there's a cat. So they all exercise together. They have chair-based exercises, bands, small weights. It's very accessible, and you can do it with them. Learn a lot. It's great.
It's a great program.
Yeah, I love them. All right,
And
key takeaways. Go ahead.
Hold that back one more track. There's one more guy you should listen to. He's from the.
He's from. I'll find his name quickly. Go on.
If you can actually pull that up there, we'll go to the computer. But this guy is. I listen to him quite a bit, and he makes so much sense. I forget he's from the UK or Australia. He's just. He's a physiotherapist. Physiotherapists understand physiology well. He specializes in older people, and he has a wonderful YouTube channel. We should listen to that. Why don't we get to the next page, Rad, and we'll come back to him in a sec, okay? We'll get the summary there. So key takeaways. You have a choice. As you get older, you lose 50% of your muscle mass between 30 and 70. One of the most important endocrine systems in your body is skeletal muscle. Losing half your horsepower makes no sense to me. We demonstrated that 25% of us end up in a nursing home, 20% of us fall, and once you have a major fall as you get older. And here's the guy I like very much, is Will Harlow. If you can just show that one more time, his name there, Rad.
Yes.
This guy is really worth listening to. He makes so much sense, a lot of good videos. Excellent. I'm sure there's others, but those two resources are fantastic. Thank you for showing us that. Um, and it is sad that less than 25% of adult seniors are doing exercise to a major degree. And exercise is on three fronts. Is that we need to build up our VO2 max, our aerobic capacity, running, jumping, playing squash, swimming are important for that. The probably even more important is resistance training, building muscle. You either lose muscle or keep the muscle, and it's hard to build muscle as you get older. And third is balance training. Standing on one foot, doing different exercises are important. These are all superstars. Those are all first round draft picks. Second and third round draft picks are protein and creatine and supplementation. They can add to this. But by themselves, they're not sufficient to keep you healthy, is my take on. What's your thoughts, Ethan and Rad? How do you incorporate this now? Ethan, you're my hero. You're good. You know, I've seen you bulk up in a period of time. I've tried to bulk up in 3 years. I haven't really bulked up very much. I got a little stronger. Um, Rad, you're now running quite a bit. I hate running, but I love, cross country skiing, squash, swimming, and being in the gym playing squash. I'm trying to build my fast twitch fibers again. As you get older, you lose your speed, your agility, and you can fall more. Um, but I feel so much better. And there's been a lot of research saying if you want to lose weight, then you have to calorie restrict. Now, if you want to keep the weight off, then you have to do 60 to 90 minutes of activity most days. 60 to 90 minutes most days. It's a lot of exercise, but that's what it takes. Um, Now we now have game-changing medications that we're not going to talk about today that make a huge difference, and so in the right place, right format are very important. But you showed us another key feature of this supplementation. What creatine makes sense to me. This is fun. There's now interesting in our building next door. We have a nice physiotherapist, and apparently there's some services provided by OHIP for arthritis, for rehab and things of that nature. So are we going to actually play this video over here or not?
Sure,
I'm not
sure.
sure.
If you like, I
But
can if you.
I go ahead. Let's see what it says.
Let's see. Oh, let me go back.
If it plays.
I'm trying to unmute it now. There you go.
That's okay.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's on YouTube. It's already on YouTube. You can watch it there.
On YouTube.
Perfect.
Okay. So let's go
Any
back
any
to
final
our
which slide?
any thoughts from anybody? Go to the summary slide there. The last
Sure,
one there, if you have
sure,
there.
sure,
This is,
sure.
drawing push-up challenge. It's too bad you can't do this all the time. This is the evolution of
I know.
humankind. We're all getting, it's a sad evolution. But I choose not to make that my evolution. And resistance training, how much you should do, a minimum of twice a week, maybe more, as you get better at this.
Ethan, any key takeaways from you that we haven't mentioned?
Um, let's see. I think the most important thing if you're going to implement physical activity is picking something that you genuinely enjoy. Um,
Yeah.
I find that too many people think that losing weight or implementing physical activity has to be horrible and feel horrible. But I think if you like to swim, swim. If you like to play pickleball, play pickleball. I think you don't have to run. You don't have to do any of these things. I just think um, picking even weightlifting is extremely important. Picking movements that you enjoy, not just the most optimal movements per se, is going to go farther than just kind of dragging yourself along. So
Hmm.
that's my advice.
Sure, sure.
I'm going to give a plea to physiotherapists. They understand how the body works and arthritis and pain. Look, if you make it to 50 years of age or greater, 90% of us complain of major aches and pains in life. I'll repeat that. If you make it to 50 years of age in life, 90% of us have aches and pains. We get lots of arthritis, and we often blame, it must be my medications, it must be my statin, it must be um, something else. It is basically a fact of aging. Now, what I learned from surgeons who replace hips and joints is that you can get a new joint in place and that will help, but you need to keep the ligaments, the structures around that good and strong. Most of them have fallen apart. And I've had problems with from plantar fasciitis to hip problems to tendonitis in my different joints. And working with a good physiotherapist or someone who specializes, a good body trainer for seniors, how to strengthen the other muscles can help relieve pain. And that's important, is that pain is pain, and helping fix pain by exercise is important. So when someone says to me, I can't exercise because I have a bad shoulder, bad knee, you're going to the nursing home quicker than you need to. I was just listening to a video of this 92-year-old female saying is that, aging, between in your 60s, you still usually have something left. After your 60s, most people are just getting too achy, too sore, don't have the ability to look after themselves properly, don't have the ability to travel anymore. It doesn't have to happen. What happens is you get older, you have one major illness, you get a bad pneumonia, you have a bad fall, you develop cancer, you develop a heart attack. It's hard to bounce back. And you don't have time anymore. You put a normal person to bed rest for 2 weeks, you can lose 25% of your horsepower. So build horsepower, have reserve, um, and really make weight training a major part and find people that can help you doing these sorts of things. It can be fun. Yeah, it's boring lifting weights on your own, but you do it with other people, other groups of people, it becomes fun. The push-up challenge is fun. The lifting weights is fun, or it can be. Training for your triathlons or for your running events. You decide what you want to do. We try to do the CN Tower a couple of times a year. Unfortunately, 2025 was a turning point. Is that Rad and Ethan, you guys outperformed me, but it took you a lot of extra work to get to that level. When I play squash, when people swear at me, I know I'm doing a good job. They still beat me, but when it makes them sweat, and it's fun. So, and training muscle is the world's greatest antidepressant. Probably the one of the major keys for healthy aging. And so this is a great plea to think about how to make this work for yourselves. And thank you for showing me that I can lift 30 extra pounds on one repetition, and I can maybe gain 3 pounds of muscle, which is important because I'm having trouble gaining muscle at this point in time. Thank you so much. Ethan, Rad, you have the final word.
I would say have fun. Yeah, keep doing what you can do for a long time. That is all.
Yeah. Lift weights, lift heavy weights, and go to failure. That's my last couple words.
Good, good, good.
And
Good
do
night,
it,
everyone.
and do it where people know how to do it. Thank you so much, and have a great night. And go Canada, go.
Go Canada, go.